Good day, beautiful people. So, this is episode 2 of our Feel Good podcast. And today we have a handsome young man who is joining us to have a conversation about eczema, about TSW, and all of that stuff. I'm not going to take too much to talk about it. You know the reason why we're doing this. We want to educate you, we want to inform you, we want you to feel good. So, without further delay, I'm going to introduce you to Dee. Dee, are you there?
Hi, I'm here. Thank you. That introduction was too kind.
Oh, Dereece, why?
I know, handsome
I,
woman.
I
Go
no.
that.
Do you not feel handsome?
Well, I do now, thank you. But yeah, you've made me blush. I don't know what to.
Oh gosh, you need people to tell you more then, clearly. D, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to do this session with us for our Feel Good podcast, for us to be able to educate people who about eczema, about TSW, etc. So before I keep rambling on, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome.
Talking about my skin is something that I've learned to do in the past couple of years because not a lot of people talk about skin and skin issues, and we're not very well represented us skin barrier compromised folk.
Yeah.
But I'm Dee, Dereece, but you can call me Dee. I am 28 years old and battling with eczema slash TSW, I would say. I feel like, which we're probably going to get into, my eczema probably would have burnt out a long time ago had I
Yeah.
have not been using topical steroids or immunosuppressive creams for the majority of my life.
Wow. So should we go back? So when were you first diagnosed with eczema? What's the story?
So actually, when COVID happened and we all got those NHS apps in the UK, I was able to log on and see my past prescriptions. And I think I was 8 months old when my first prescription of hydrocortisone was prescribed to me according to my medical records.
Wow, 8 years old. I'm 8 months old, sorry.
8 months old, yeah, I believe I was under one according to my prescriptions, which to me is ridiculous and wild.
It is. That's wild.
Um, and that's going back. I was born in '96, so that was going back before. I know steroids are quite pushed quite frequently now, but when I talk about my skin or problems with my mum, she said that's all they gave her. And this cream, there was no directions. That they put this on, it will get better,
Okay.
without really figuring out the root cause or reason, other than the are they eating enough fruits and vegetables, taking me
Yeah.
off milk, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So I think that was first prescribed, and then when I read about topical steroid addiction, I think the first time I read about it was like 2017, but I went first stage of complete denial. No, that's not me.
Okay.
And then I didn't start withdrawing until the year after, which is 2018. So nearly 6 years now, I've been going through topical steroid withdrawal, and I'm still unfortunately battling that condition, but it has got a lot better over the years, just not where I would like to be.
Okay. So they literally had you on steroids from jump. They didn't try anything
Basically,
else. Wow.
basically,
So,
yeah.
mhm.
Steroids from the jump, and I've been or gone through lots of various treatments along the way alongside steroids.
Okay. So, because when one of the things that I remember when they put me on steroids is that they specifically said this is not a long-term solution. Actually, I went back to the doctors and then they said it's not a long-term solution, like afterwards, because
So,
something. I think I was curious one day. I think I was about 14. Something just maybe it was the Holy Spirit, like I'd like to say, prompted me, and then I checked. I read the leaflet inside and it said not meant for long-term use, thin skin, causes stretch marks and all of these kind of stuff. So I was like, I know it's going to sound silly. I was so young. I thought I was going to get stretch marks on my face. And I was like, we can't be doing that.
hey,
Because by the time I was 9 years old, I already had stretch marks at the back of my legs. So I was like, not don't want that on my face.
yeah,
You know,
don't want them on
it's
your face.
So they went to the doctors, and then that's when they said, "Yep, you. How long have you been using it for? Okay, 3 years. You're not actually supposed to use it for a long time." And I was thinking, isn't that your responsibility to tell me? Like you've given me this prescription.
100%. And what baffles me about that is everybody says that, and now being older, I know that
Mhm.
and did my due diligence and know this in hindsight. However, my steroids and my Protopic, which is an immunosuppressive cream, were on repeat prescription.
Yes,
So
so was mine. Yeah.
in that case, why I didn't even have to go to see the doctor. They just used to come shipped to the pharmacy in bulk for the
Yeah.
month. So
And
that
you
makes
know,
sense.
and that was the crazy thing. So I'm going to put some of my family members on blast here, but my dad's ex-wife and some of my aunties used to take, because it used to bleach skin, they used to get me
Mm.
to prescribe and prescribe and prescribe, like in.
That makes sense.
And
Yeah.
you're right,
See,
nothing was ever flagged up. Nothing was like, oh no, you're using too much.
no, and that's the other thing because nobody ever directed me how much or how. They just cover your body, and they would give me a tube like this big, and I say that's gonna not do anything. They'll say it's fine. We'll just give you more and more and more, like how much you need.
Oh
Which I
wow.
cringe at so much now. Like, who was I? Shush, be quiet, don't use
Yeah.
it. But
So let's go back again. So 8 months young, they basically
yeah,
prescribed it to you. Your mum was none the wiser, clearly. She didn't
yeah,
really
and
know.
she cringes now at this, and I say it's not your fault. You're doing the best you could. You were trying to get rid of what you thought was a problem. Sorry I interrupted you there, but I just want to say, like, I don't blame her at all.
Sure, sure. Mum, we
There
don't
was
blame you. Mum, we'd never
no,
blame you
I love
guys.
you.
You did not know. I'm saying it too.
And even me, I cringe at myself, like you were just saying, like to me, that was magic cream at the time. That and
Yeah.
Protopic was so made my skin what I deemed beautiful. It cleared me of all the burdens that come with dealing with skin condition. And when my friends would come to me and say, "Oh, I've got this," I'd say, "Use some of this. It's magic." And now I'm like, "Oh, oh, you know."
So Dee, let me ask you, did you use that? Did you ever go through a stage of having acne?
Not acne, always just eczema in my creases. Yeah, I would say it was eczema.
Okay.
You touched on skin, our skin, melanated skin presenting
Hmm.
differently.
Hmm.
And obviously going back, I had an Asian doctor, but my mum always said, and she's always said this about medical professional, sorry. She grew up mixed races, dual heritage.
Okay.
So burdens of both worlds, let's say. But she always said doctors never listened to her, were very textbook and very like they would show her pictures, medical journals and stuff, and say, look, this is what this would look like. And she would say, but his skin is not like that. It's not white.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like that. It's
Mm.
similar, but this is what his skin looks like.
Mm.
But their answer to that was, we don't know. Here's some steroid cream. Um,
Wow. So what
and I
was
would
your
go,
turn? Go on. So when you were going through school, your skin was good because you were on this typical topical
sure.
steroids.
Yeah, I always say it wasn't, it was better.
Hmm.
I think the turnaround that my mum, because again, this is just eczema was all I knew.
Hmm.
When I look back at pictures, you can see, like you said, I had like the dark eyes, but I was
Mm.
very lighter than I am now. Dealing with atopic dermatitis or topical surgery has completely darkened my skin
Hmm.
overall.
Yeah.
Um, so I was very light, much lighter than I was, and you can just see in pictures where, like, obviously around the eyes, with the creases, backs of legs, and as I've got older, all different areas of my skin you can see were affected. So
Yeah.
dealing with skin is all I ever knew, or problematic skin, I should say.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until teenage years that I started to realize how much it was affecting me, how much it was affecting my self-confidence, my esteem, and day-to-day life, and people
And
pointing it out.
and this was even with you using the steroid creams.
Exactly. So what I would say is over the duration of using steroids, they gradually got more potent
Okay.
and applied more frequently. And at one point, steroids probably stopped working for me, and
Yeah.
they applied what I call Protopic, and that for my mum was the best cream ever.
Can
That
you
proper,
elaborate what the protopic is? So
yeah. So
for those who don't
Protopic is,
know.
I'm gonna butcher the medical name of this, and I apologize, but
Uh,
it's Taraculus Eladel ointment. I used ointment, which is another thing I've now learned is the worst thing to trap your skin with.
yeah.
But lotion creams were not good for me. I was always reapplying; they were very drying.
Yeah.
But Protopic is an immunosuppressive cream, and so it's basically like an immunosuppressant, but in topical form.
Okay.
And now later, now it has a black box warning, so it can cause cancer, can cause all. Yeah,
What?
the age of 11 to 12 was just slathering my body in it because it
And
made
what
my
age were
skin really.
you? Sorry, when you
I
started
think
using?
I was about 11 to 12 when I started on Protopic.
Okay.
Or I actively remember that.
Yeah.
And God works in mysterious ways, the universe works in mysterious ways, whatever your religion or spirituality is, because
Yeah.
the thing about Protopic is it did clear my skin amazingly beautifully. It burned and it smelled like petrol, but it worked. That was good enough for me. And when you talk to people who use Protopic, they will all tell you the same thing. It burns, but in a couple of days, even like a day or two, your skin's clear, clearer than anything I've ever had. And the doctor would tell me that's fine, it's supposed to burn, it means it's working, which again, now I now know is not true. That's not the case. You probably know with your
What?
natural skincare, it's not meant to burn or.
It's a bed. That's what's shocking me.
And I used to put it on my face. Oh, I cringe about it now. I used to put it all on my face and everything, but my skin at that time was beautiful, or I deemed it to be beautiful.
Sure.
To
And had
fit.
the eczema
No
dissipated? Like, could you
yeah,
see
no
it?
bump, clear skin, like that. When you look at
Joints,
skin,
everything gone.
you, exactly, you see on like models or skincare adverts, and you go to bed, people with problematic skin, you say, I wish my skin was like that.
Oh
And I didn't
wow.
think about my skin, and I'd slept through the night. I didn't deal with the itch and the scratch because it was suppressing all of that, but it stopped working. And I
After how
remember,
long?
I would say I had a good couple of years run with it. And at one point, I moved to university or away, and I didn't redo the prescription, and they wouldn't give it me again. And that
Oh,
was a in disguise, because you can also withdraw from Protopic.
okay.
So I was blessed, but for whatever reason, I didn't get the prescription. But I was on it again for a number of years on repeat prescription, and that as well was only meant to be short-term use. And then I started researching more about topical steroid addiction and withdrawal again, and realized, wait, this is what I have, because these hydrocortisone over-the-counter creams aren't working.
Yeah.
The class 1 steroids, I think it's betazone. I should really learn to pronounce these.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Being in the skin community, I apologize, but all of those high class potent class 1 steroids just stopped working completely for
And what
me.
age were you at this point? 19, because you said you were at university.
Yeah, I must have
19,
been, yeah, 19, 20.
around that age.
And I hadn't really figured out what. I just knew that at one point, because my eczema as well is exacerbated by stress, or at least all of the symptoms used to come out if I'm stressed, emotionally, all my emotions very tired.
Yeah.
And when I went to university, there was a big issue with my prescriptions because I'd moved and all
Yeah.
of this.
So what did
So
you do in that time when they said, no, we can't issue it you anymore?
the Protopic was a bit like fine, because they issued me steroid cream again.
Oh.
I vividly remember at university, my skin was flaring or about to flare, and nobody
Yeah.
had really knew me with bad skin. They knew I had eczema or stuff.
Yeah.
It was being managed by all these steroids. And when I
Steroids.
run out of prescription, my skin went into haywire. I'm not talking an eczema flare, I'm talking like probably the start of full-blown withdrawal from topical steroids. And I remember my friend being like, oh, like, is everything okay? Your skin's really bad. And I look back at pictures and I was so red and my skin was so angry. And I remember panicking because I was doing I went to drama school, which is under a university. It's all physical, very long days. Saying to my mum, I need my prescription, like I'm living away from home. She was like, we'll have to get it. And I remember that steroid cream come in. I remember it vividly because this was just before I stopped and realized. And I slathered it all on. And the next day or two, my friend was just like, wow, your skin is so much better than it was yesterday. And I was like, yeah, I know I've got my prescription back. That was the start of a catalyst that was like, wait, this isn't right. I shouldn't have to depend on my cream like that.
Oh, this
There's
is
some,
it. This is
and
it.
that was again the thing that led me back to remembering, wait, I've read about this topical steroid addiction.
Yeah.
Let me research.
Wow. I actually feel a bit emotional by what you're saying to me, because I that's scary, first of all. And then I do also remember when I was using the steroid cream, I was like, yeah, it's true. Isn't the steroid cream actually, I thought it was supposed to get rid of eczema, because again, I didn't know that eczema was a skin concern that you live with. I didn't know that it was something that you can't just, you use it, it's gone and then that's it. I thought once I couldn't see it, I thought I was done, right? But then every time I'd stop, then it will come back and it will be like, oh wait, So I feel so angry for you that the doctors were just giving you the no. I mean, surely they must have known the potential, the long-term effects of this. So what did it look like? What was your turning point again when you decided that, okay, I need to stop using this? Or was it the
Well,
doctors that said, we're not going to give this to you anymore?
no, they even now they still try and give me steroids, knowing what I've gone through, knowing all the activeness that I've preached, because a lot of the medical community don't believe in topical steroid addiction, topical steroid withdrawal. And I say a lot of because I've seen a big change in the years I've been going through withdrawal. And you see it all over. Big up to my social media queens and podcasters, because we're speaking about it more.
Exactly.
But you see so many people now going through TSW or withdrawing from this medication, and you can't deny us anymore. But
so what does that look? So what was your turning point?
So the turning point for me again was realizing that I needed this cream again and going, wait, this isn't right. It's a class 1 steroid. And like you just said, doctors they never told me steroid cream would get rid of my skin. They, in fact, put the fear of God into me and told me without steroid cream, I would never live a normal life. I had to use steroids to manage my eczema. But then, like you just said, on the second hand, they would say, but you can't use these forever because they're so damaging. This was later in life I found that. So when I had this information, I went back and said, I can't go out throughout life without managing my eczema with this type of creams, but yeah, I'm damaging my body by using them. What do I do?
Sure.
And the answer is we don't know.
Yeah.
The doctor tells you we don't know
how
to help.
It's horrible. You feel helpless.
Yeah, along with already the emotional trauma that dealing with a skin condition gives you.
Yes.
Like, so what do I do? Do I just lay down and die?
Yeah.
That's not me. That is not me. And I'm sure you can relate. You tell us we can't do something. Tell us it's not for you. We're going to show you that you can do. So I had to take matters into my own hand and say, right, I need to arm myself with knowledge and information. So started researching all of this. Then I like talking about being emotional. That is when I was first emotional, when I come across topical steroid addiction and withdrawal, and I said, this is my skin, this is what I've got.
So what does that look like? How does that present itself?
For me, it was somebody else sharing their story. Zainab, big up to you, TSW BZ Buzz. She shared visually her story with eczema and steroids, and her skin, she's of color as well. She's a person of color, looked like mine. And that was the catalyst. The hyperpigmentation or hyperpigmentation, the lack of pigment or too much darker pigment compared to our natural skin color. And that was the recognition I need to say, look, I need to do this. These people aren't listening to me. It's arming myself with the information of regional palmar skin condition. Eczema, for me, was what I was diagnosed with, or severe atopic dermatitis, I like to say. And knowing what these symptoms are, but then reading up on all the medication I was prescribed throughout my journey, because we just so blindly, and that's probably my fault, but like I said, I was a child when I was prescribed the first bit of medication. What is that actually this that I'm putting into my body?
Yeah.
We talk about foods and we talk about what we put into our body there, but we don't really think about creams or medication.
Yes.
Well, at least I didn't.
Yes.
And even commercial brands and skincare and stuff like that, you change the whole way you start to view the world.
Yes.
And that is kind of how it started. And then you have to be careful, or at least I was very aware of coming across as one of these people that's very anti-medication, because I'm not.
Yeah.
That wasn't case at all. I believe if you need medication, you should take it.
I agree.
My argument was this medication isn't working for me anymore, and it's poisoning my body, and I'm showing you it is, and you can see what it's doing. And it didn't feel like eczema. I know that sounds silly, but my eczema is not like this, or this isn't what eczema looks like. This isn't how you describe it. Eczema is a rash or itching. It's not losing what I would deem to be my body weight in skin, leaving skin falling behind me, red, burning skin. And especially in people of color, they call it red skin syndrome, TSW, or topical steroid addiction, I should say. When we've got melanated skin, we don't necessarily go red.
Yeah.
We would go like purple.
Yeah.
Or darker than we are. And that's how it was. And it's so clear to me now, going through it, that was an eczema. And I can't believe so many people tried to tell me that is what it is. Because you look at somebody going through topical steroid withdrawal and you can just tell. And I've shared a lot on my journey about what that is and the symptoms we have, but it goes deeper than surface levels of skin.
Sure.
We don't sleep through the night. We suffer from insomnia. I would like to say we touched back on the beginning of this episode, but I have low self-esteem. I'm not confident in physical appearance or anything to do with skin related, other than sharing it. That helped a lot.
Yeah. So when you said that you had insomnia, what was causing that?
It's basically all of the steroids that I've put into my body have affected the adrenal system. So all of my body's natural response that is out of whack. And when you go into withdrawal, my body kind of goes into, or our bodies go into overdrive, and it's kind of like fight or flight mode, right?
Yeah.
So all of these things are happening, and part of that affects our ability to sleep at reasonable times, not only because of the physical symptoms such as scratching or the deep intense itch or burn that happens with topical steroid withdrawal. Literally, you feel like your skin is on fire, so you can't sleep because of that. But then also you can go the opposite end and have all of these open wounds which affect your body's ability to regulate. And you freeze cold, but it's the middle of summer. All these physical symptoms that you're dealing with, as well as the emotional trauma that goes with that. The best way to liken it is to like the pandemic, but except the rest of the world isn't in pandemic, just you. Because you can't go out of your room, or you feel like you can't at least. I decided, why when I look back did I do that, but I just knew I had to stop steroids then or it was never going to happen. I was in my final year of drama school, and I'd already deferred a year due to another reason, and was like, I'm going to stop steroids. Went into full body withdrawal.
Oh wow.
And there were times where I went back into a halls of residence for my final year, and there were times where my flat didn't see me for a month because I was withdrawing, and people would knock on my door and check on me.
Wow.
And I would be like, I'm fine, but I didn't want to show them what I looked like. I would send pictures to visually show them what I was going through. And they would just slide food through the door because I've not left, because I felt like I couldn't. Luckily, I had an ensuite, so I could still bathe, but even that, at some points through withdrawal, water touching your skin, I can only compare it to acid being poured all over me.
Wow. So what were you using once you stopped using all the steroids?
So initially in my withdrawal, I was like, as I said, a bit like, I can't use anything because all this is bad for my skin, and I need to let it learn to function again. So the shorthand answer to that is nothing for a period of time.
Wow, you didn't use any ointment on your skin at all?
It would have been redundant, because if I showed pictures of how my skin was, it was basically, to be graphic, flesh on bone.
Oh wow.
It was so open and raw.
Oh yeah.
Like before, I'm talking Halloween makeup zombie.
What?
To me, putting something on that was futile.
Wow.
So
you were just waiting for your skin to heal on its own?
If I'm honest, I was petrified, because you never see, if you showed someone that looked like me and said they're dealing with eczema, like the doctor wants to say, like, crazy.
And then obviously your skin being broken, then that would that would make you more prone to infections and other things as well.
Risk of infection, exactly. So then we, without going on tangent, talk about the treatment for that is antibiotics and how that destroys you.
Exactly.
Every time my skin was bad, if it wasn't steroids, it was antibiotics. So as my skin got stronger, I started to test the boundaries with moisturizer, both natural and not, and I've had a whole journey with that. And I just think the only way I compare it to is like when a newborn's born and their skin is learning to produce the sebum that we have, and they're so dry. And you're like, oh, do they need moisturizer? Do they not? And then they become a toddler and their skin is perfect. And I find myself obsessing with babies, because you just, when you go or you deal with skin, that's all you kind of notice. Or if someone's got good, how do you get your skin like that? My journey with moisturizers is a bit hit and miss. I did the whole no moisture treatment. I do moisturize and I don't. I just kind of now listen to my body and how it reacts. If it's feeling like it needs moisturizer, if it's not. Obviously there's lots of factors that go into managing skin: emotional, physical, topical, environment, all of these things.
Exactly.
But underlying that is also that I am withdrawing from a medication that's messed up my whole body anyway.
Yeah, yeah. This is
So
really, yeah, so go ahead, go ahead.
no, sorry, I was just like, to round that up, I can't really answer your question because I changed so much my routine whilst also trying to give things a chance.
Okay, yeah,
And
sure. I mean, I remember when, like I said, when I said the doctor said to me, basically, you're on your own. I was like, wait, what? What do you mean I'm on my own? And so I learned that the skin routine was two phases. One was when I was bathing, what I was using and what that was doing to my skin, and then thereafter was when I finished having a bath, what I was applying to my skin. So I remember when I was younger, the rest of the family were using imperial leather, for example. Imperial
okay.
leather literally made my skin like hard leather, and it was like
Okay.
what, and then you'd actually see it go white. My skin would go white because it was so dry. And then at the time, all I knew was lotions and moisturizers. I didn't, like, I'd go to Superdrug and stuff, and then I quickly got to realize that fragrance products were a big no-no for me. So I realized I had sensitive skin. Again, my doctor didn't say to me, go and look for your products, this is your skin type. They didn't tell me that you got dry skin. You didn't tell me. I had to figure all of this out. I did try different lotions, and then I'll put it on and I'll be like, no, I don't feel like my skin has been moisturized. I felt like I was putting water on, almost like on my skin, and then that was it. So it was funny because it was Dove at that time. Unilever actually hadn't launched Dove up until I remember the time that they did, and I saw quarter moisturizer, and I was like, that's interesting. So that means that it's going to moisturize me when I'm bathing, right? So my skin shouldn't be so dry. So I started with that, and then, like I said, I then started using the shea butter, like completely unrefined. If I tell you, like magic, and I don't think I even realized it. It was over a period of time, and the reason why I asked you earlier, did you get acne? Because I didn't get any acne throughout my whole school year, and I'm wondering if it was the steroids that also held that back, kind of thing.
That honestly, potentially, now you've said that, that could be it
Yeah.
because, like you said, saying this, I didn't go through a maybe I did go through a little pimply phase, but never acne.
Yeah, no, like
Um,
not like how my friends did. Like it could have been a different thing because the majority of my friends were white, to be honest with you, and they all had acne issues. I don't really recall my black friends having so much. So again, it could have been diet related,
yeah,
cleanliness, and everything else. But so outside, I mean, you've mentioned already that one of the greatest like triggers for your eczema is stress, and that's the other
yeah.
issue, isn't it? When you've got eczema and you're stressed about the eczema, and then you're
In a cycle, a
it's
vicious
like
cycle. Yeah. Everyone's telling me
oh,
stop scratching,
stop
and
scratching. I
I'm
was gonna
stressing
say that
about
to you.
scratching.
I was
Like,
gonna say that to you.
I'm in like an
Stop scratching.
eternal. Like, I'm stressing about scratching, which is causing me to scratch. So now I'm scratching, and you're telling me stop scratch. So
Exactly.
now I'm stressing about you telling me to stop scratching.
Exactly. And then, do you know what the funny thing is? I was so OCD when I was younger as well, because if I saw dirt, I know this is going to sound crazy. If
Right.
I saw dirt, hair, just things that would make me cringe, it will make me flare up even more. And I'll scratch, and you don't want to scratch.
It's a psychological response. I mean, what I say, especially going through TSW, is it's impossible to not scratch. Like, it's a
Yeah.
nerve issue. It's impossible to not scratch. And I love when my family itching and I say stop scratching.
Yeah.
And because they're like, oh, and then I'm like, yeah, but imagine, and they're like, oh, I know how you feel. Because that little itch.
Exactly. So,
So,
so I think, but one thing that I do want to say though is that, which is what I said to you, I wanted to touch upon, is how you manage to still go on despite your skin and everybody looking at you. And when they're looking at you, you know what they're thinking, or you can see the questions in their head. I'm not sure if you've got siblings. I've got siblings. My sister's beautiful, and they're mixed race. So, and I'm the only blackie. So it was already bad enough that people would be like, "Is that really your sister?" Then I've got
yeah.
all of these like so, and my mum, like I said, was like, "Oh my God, what is wrong with you?" And dealing with her emotional stress. But there was one thing that despite all of that, I was still a confident person. I
Mhm.
still was this doesn't define me. I don't know, it was so weird from a young age. Like, and I was popular regardless, you know, and all of those kind of things. So for you, for me, I was more than happy to tell people what I had. I would wear shorts, I would wear skirts, and it was only when people say, "Oh, what's that at the back of your legs?" And I'll be like, "What?" And then, "Oh, you
Yeah.
know." So how was that for you?
Uh,
How was your how did you get to your feel good moments?
you touched on it perfectly in a sense of my skin has never bothered me in terms of other people's opinion of it because I've
Hmm.
always had it
Yeah.
since I was a bit. It was as I got older, like I said, people would mention it and I would feel a type of way about them mentioning it. And I was embarrassed in certain scenarios. But ultimately, that was my skin. And luckily for the people around me, they didn't deal as bad as I did. My sister has kind of tiny bits at certain periods of time. And like you said, I dealt with me and my sister have the same mum and dad, but she's way lighter than I am, partly
Okay.
due to my skin issues. But I
Hmm.
always dealt with that as well of that's your brother, or why is, or he's so
Yeah.
dark. You know, the colorism that surrounds our culture anyway.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then um having skin in a black cultured family on half of the side of where our skin is supposed to be so good and glowy and black don't
Yeah.
crack.
Yeah.
But ashy if we don't have moisturizer, but I was ashy all the time because no moisturizer would lock in the
Yeah.
moisture.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
never, I don't know whether what it was, but that never bothered me, that side of things. And like you said, I still maintained popularity at school in terms of my friendship groups or the things I did. And if people are to describe me, they don't describe me as shy or reserved. They describe me as being like confident and outgoing.
Yeah.
And that isn't me pretending. That's just me being like being me aside from my skin.
Yeah.
I was to describe myself physically, those are not the traits I would give. And I don't have that confidence, or I compare myself to my sister, who to me is a model. And I know we all say this about our siblings, but I'm like, you're the most beautiful person in the world. I wish I looked like you, or I wish I.
Ah,
And I don't feel that same way about me, but that to me doesn't detract who I am in my heart.
sure.
And
Awesome.
what drived or pushed me to be like, we have to, is everybody else suffering. I said, like I said, it wasn't until I saw, or when I decided on my journey of TSW, being like, there's no first of all men sharing this or going through this, and there's no second of all, not a lot of at the time people of color sharing this. And what we touched on earlier in the interview is that's a whole other ball game when you talk about skin.
Sure.
And that's my duty then to be like, hey, this is what my skin looks like and this is what I'm going through. Do not be ashamed. Do not feel like nobody has this or goes through this. And that was the catalyst. I said, if I don't do it for me, I have to do it for everybody else.
Sure.
I have to
Sure.
do it for the people that come after me. I have to do it for my nephew or my niece and be like, hey. And even now we say kids say the funniest things, but they were brutal because they were kids and they
Yeah.
what's wrong
What's
with
wrong
my
with their
skin?
skin?
Why is it like that? And I say, oh. And I say, because my skin's healing and it's poorly. And they say, oh. And it's that attitude that you say, they love me to death as my niece and
Yeah.
nephew about their skin. And I apply that to everybody I talk to now. And it's me trying to take my own advice because you know more than anyone, it's easier said than done. But when I speak to people in our community or people suffering with any kind of problem, disability, whatnot, I am not looking at them for that. I am
Sure.
looking at them for the person they are and the things they bring into the world, energy and love. And ultimately, people don't care. I know we're all surrounded with cosmetics and the advertising of how people look in beauty and all that, but down to earth, deep on a level, we don't care about stuff like that as humans or people. We care about each other. And some of the worst parts of my skin, if they've been physically bad, but inside I've felt great, and I've gone around the house because I'm in my healing era and everybody already knows. And I catch sight of myself in the mirror and I'm like, because I'm like super dry or super red or flaky, and I look like I'm in like some scary maze for Halloween. Nobody in that house has made me feel that way until I've
Yeah,
seen
it's just you.
myself.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what I've always go back to. And I've been in the thick of TSW now, and I met someone just going into that journey, and they've been with me the whole way. And I'm talking skin shedding and all.
Yeah.
I was just saying that I've been with someone throughout my whole TSW journey, and I'm talking major bad skin, flaking, redness, oozing, all the things before, and they've seen way past that, and
Sure.
they've never made me feel a type of way. And maybe it's my own trauma, but I'm like, I couldn't have done that. I never. Honestly, I say, how do you put up with that? How do you do that?
Mm,
Because of my own triggers, because like when I apply that to anything else in life, all the things I've dealt with, all the things of people around me have dealt with, you do put the person first, and it is
yeah.
more, and we are more than our skin.
Yeah.
And so that's why we must continue to fight these trials and tribulations of skin and get to the root causes, because we're worth so much more than any of that surface level stuff. And that's how I keep going, and that's how I know one day I'm going to be happy with my skin, whether I get clear skin or not.
Or
We've
not.
come along a long journey, and we have to do what we have to do together to help each
Yeah.
other, so we don't have to deal with these things, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the key ethoses for our brand. We always say we focus on skin progress and not the destination, not skin perfection, because what is perfect skin at the end of the day,
Thank
right?
you.
You could get to a certain point and then you get acne. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember, so I didn't have acne, like I said, most of my life. Then when I got to 39, which was just like 2 years ago, yeah, 2, 3 years ago, actually, I got I can't remember the name for it. It wasn't normal acne. Acne. It was the one that was like, oh gosh, it was like
Cystic
a,
acne.
yeah, that was it. Cystic acne. It was really bad, and literally, when one came, three would appear. It was
Mhm.
aggressive, and it was happening
Right.
through. And I was just like, wow. So I didn't get acne when I was younger. Now, when I should be glowing, I'm going
Now
into
you
my
want to give
40s.
me
I should be
acne.
glowing. Yeah, now I'm gonna get acne. But do you know what, D? I was like, I don't care. If anyone asks me, I'm just gonna
You
be like,
roll.
yeah, I don't care. And the funny thing is that the only thing was that, the makeup, but it would be so big, it would be so pussy, it would be shiny.
Yeah,
So
and it
again,
can
so
just
I
go
didn't know
away.
how to deal with it, but it took 8 months of me just using my normal products, and I realized that, okay, it came back again the following year. And I was like, okay, I
Right.
must have something wrong. Do you know when we start doing Google is your friend? So you start Googling, why am I getting acne?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I've
coming
got
here.
7 days to live.
Listen, I went to the hospital and said, I'd like you to do a liver check for me, because apparently, if you get acne on
Yeah.
this side of your face, it means they've got something. They were like, Miss Nadia, I'm so sorry, we cannot just give you a liver check
Respectfully.
because you're self-diagnosing. And I was like,
It's
whoa.
true.
But then,
Yeah,
do you
it's
know, so
true.
I then realized that, then I started looking at, actually, that again was another thing that prompted us with our products. So I then started looking at the different ranges that we had, and then I started using sheer oil on my face,
Okay.
right? So I'm just going to do a plug right now about our products, because our products, there's a lot of them have got anti-inflammatory proponents inside them. So that it means
Yeah.
that it naturally stops your skin from inflaming, whilst it's also treating what's going on. Then I also used African black soap, the liquid black soap, which was then
Me too. I
helping.
love.
Yeah, right. So it was then helping to cleanse my skin. Yo, D, if I tell you, like within like a month, this thing was gone. And I was actually going for facials once every 8 weeks. So I did it, no, once every 3 weeks, sorry, because and they use natural products on my skin as well. And then I just said, like you said, I don't want to tell people that all um medications are bad. I wouldn't say that. I definitely wouldn't say that. But I would say
Yeah.
that if we could look at the natural versions of things more, if even
Absolutely.
in our even in terms of like when women have got periods, for example, I used to listen. I used to pack those ibuprofens in. I'll just be like, "Where's my Nurofen? I'm taking three,
Yeah.
three, three every eight
That's
hours."
me. And you
Yeah.
aren't going to touch me. Yeah.
Because I don't want
Used
the
to be
pain
me.
to touch me. And then eventually it was like, no, what other things can I do to help myself? Then I was realizing it's
Mhm.
basic things like ginger, and ensuring that, it manages the inflammation and stuff. So I am leaning more towards natural stuff now. And not only that, I did 14 years in Ghana. And in Ghana,
Okay.
you realize that. a lot of these problems, one, don't exist, and if they do, they've got their own natural
Uh-huh.
ways of dealing with it, ancestral things that our grandparents and great grandparents have experiencing.
Stop.
And it's
But
like I got caught up in consumerism. So I think the
to touch
really,
on that,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, but to touch on that, because I couldn't agree more, is that was one of the points I made to the doctor afterwards, is you've given me these creams my whole life, and now, okay, my skin's not great at the minute, but it's not worse than it was before.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and they're like, oh, and like it's true, like, yeah, they're like, oh, so I was thinking, so why would I take the medication
yeah, yeah,
if it's just covering up and causing this issue? And
exactly.
like, there's always another route, and natural skincare is another one, a way to go. And
And the
there's
thing
all these,
is, I think the issue is that people think it's just too simple, it's just too easy. And what
yeah,
we always say is that, well, it's not going to be as it doesn't happen as quickly as a chemical based product would, because they've got
no,
chemicals in it, which, really
exactly.
speed everything up. But then when we got to learn the science of our skin, which is that when you overload your skin with first of all, I just want to make sure people understand this. Our skin has its own, it's an organism, right? It has its own
The largest
function.
organ,
Yes,
largest organ,
it has its own
the biggest
function
one.
system. It functions on its own, right? It exfoliates, it produces sebum, it manages the microbiomes, it does it all. It does it all on its own. The
Thank you, skin.
exactly. So all we need to
Mostly.
do is to do the things that complement our skin, that help it, that work with our system, as opposed to loading it. Because what we got to learn when we were doing our skin research is that when you put chemicals on your skin, it starts weakening your skin's natural system, because it's
Yeah.
working against it, because it's not a natural, it's like something else you're putting on it. And if you overload, these skincare routine fads that are going on, which is absolutely crazy. Basically, you're weakening the skin, and eventually the skin's going to be like, okay, I'm just going to let the chemicals do the work then, because it's fighting against your system.
And that's what's happened with topical steroid addiction slash withdrawal, is my body's like, oh, I don't know what to do anymore. I'm going to start again.
Yeah,
So what I'd like to think is I have the skin of a newborn, except I'm being exposed to things in day-to-day life that a newborn wouldn't. So you don't
yeah,
have doesn't have this time to keep up with
yeah,
the hustle and bustle. And it's saying, whoa, calm down. Like,
yeah,
what do I do to make you listen? Be red, be angry, weep,
yeah,
shed. I'm
yeah.
saying, okay, yeah, I'm finally listening to you. You do got what you got to do, and everybody else can wait.
That's it. That's it. Like, seriously. So I know that by the time I get to the end of this interview, there's still going to be so many questions. People are going to be like, "Oh, what about this? What about that?" But I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you. So, what is your skincare routine now? How many products do you use? Like, what's your situation?
Currently, I'm trying to be less is more, because my skin is hypersensitive at times.
Hmm.
And then it likes to throw me in a mental loop, because I'll try something, some moisturizer, and say, wow, this is like. Also, I want a disclaimer, please patch test anything you try before, because
Patch
what works for
tests.
somebody will not work
Yes.
for you. And that's the thing,
Yes.
like, you have to advocate for your own skin and listen to your own skin.
Yes. Mm. You're
But
dropping
what,
some nuggets, by the way, that I really like. That's why I'm writing them down. Advocate
oh,
for your
thank
own
you.
skin. I like
Oh,
that.
you have to, and I would say you have to constantly adapt and switch up,
Yeah.
because, like I said, I've had my go-tos, and so lots of them are like unrefined shea butter, like natural things, jojoba oil, all of
Yeah.
these. But then 1 minute my skin loves them, everyone's like, skin looks amazing, and I
Yeah.
always stop people when they say that, because me with my, I think you're gonna jinx it, or I'm gonna internalize it. And I always, it's a running joke here that when someone says your skin looks good, everyone says, oh, because I'm like, great, welcome, Claire. Um, to answer your question, is I'm constantly changing. Like, currently I'm using Epiderm, which I hate, don't judge me. But in the winter season, my skin goes so dry because of
Yeah.
the fact of people putting on internal heating and it
Yeah.
being so cold out.
Yeah.
And I've been using Aveeno, which I hate. I love Aveeno, I love Epiderm, but the chemicals is not what I'm using.
Yeah. Yeah.
But unrefined shea butter, I was using black African soap. At this time, I'm just using black African soap raw in a
Yeah.
bar
Mm-hmm.
and Epiderm moisturizer.
Okay.
Lately, Epiderm markings have been going dry.
Yeah.
Because what you just done as well is, like you, I didn't have spots of badly or acne when I was going through teenage years, probably the steroids.
Yeah.
But also, my skin is so dry with eczema that
Yeah.
normally those issues stem from over sebum, which we
Yeah.
don't have when
Yeah.
it's so dry.
Yeah.
So that
Exactly.
brought a nice memory of the first time I got a really bad spot after years of not having them. I freaked out, and my partner said, "That's good. That's your skin producing oil." So I wore that
Stop,
spot like a
stop,
bat.
stop.
Exactly. So my skin's like, "What? That's what you wanted?" No. But my skincare routine is very plain, and actually, it's something I need to work on because, like you just touched on, you need to know the science of your skin and what works for you, and you also need to give it time. I'm very bad on this isn't working, but I've not given it enough time. We can't have these
Exactly.
quick,
Exactly.
especially not. You have to
Brilliant.
stick to something, give it that
Give
time.
it the time,
And
especially with
like
natural products.
stinging is not good. Don't listen to people that tell you that. Stinging
What
is
is
bad.
what is not good?
Stinging, you know when someone says it's stinging, so it works.
Oh,
That's what
yeah,
I was always. No, 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 no. Your body's saying, get that off me.
yeah.
A
This is
slight
not good.
maybe, but not never burning or redness. No, 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 no.
That's so funny.
I'm saying,
Inflicting
girl,
pain.
stop.
It's like you're forcing the skin to do something. Yeah.
Honestly.
Okay, so this has been really great. So you've got an event coming up in November. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So on November the 2nd, we're doing a skin meetup men's edition. And
Oh,
it's basically because in our community, which I've loved to see, lots of the women or the ladies of the skin community share their journeys openly.
yeah.
Us men have a tendency to withdraw and not talk about lots of things, not just skin. But we're hosting an event with some lovely ladies and 3 people going through topical steroid withdrawal and dealing with eczema. And we're asking any men that are dealing with any skin issues, whether it's topical steroid withdrawal, psoriasis, eczema, to come along and basically just meet other people that are going through this, go dealing with skin, share some tips and tricks like we've kind of done today, and just feel
Awesome.
supported.
Awesome.
Um, that's happening
Creating
on
a
November
feel
the 2nd.
good, creating a feel good community.
Creating a feel.
I like that.
That's what we want. We
Yeah,
want everyone to feel good.
exactly.
Skin issues or not, we're here
Yeah.
for each other. And we understand more than anybody else what it's like to go through problems with your skin.
Yeah.
So
I
please,
think so. Go ahead, go ahead.
if you're in London, UK, come along. It's Camden,
Whereabouts is
address to
it?
it's in Camden, address to
Mm-hmm.
be confirmed. You can
Okay.
follow. Can I plug my social? Is that
Go,
okay?
of course you can, of course.
At Dereece Julius on Instagram, and you can find all the information there. You can reach out to me or any of the other hosts. So please, thank you.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Dereece, thank you so much for your time and your sharing your story and everything that you've gone through. I know it will definitely bless people. I know, like, I see so many forums where people are talking about TSW, and I'm still learning about what that actually is. And just saying to my, like, I was literally there. Like, I could have been walking on that same path as well. And
Yeah.
I'm just actually thinking, isn't there a lawsuit in this somewhere? I'm just thinking there should be.
Girl, don't get me started.
Like,
Unfortunately,
seriously.
because that is what we're taught medically is the treatment. Until that changes, there's no lawsuit
Yeah,
because
but
doctors are
where they
just doing.
use it for an extensive period of time when they know that it shouldn't, like, surely there's something there.
I hope someone finds it. Give me my money.
But no, it's definitely been a pleasure. And again, like I said, that I like a few things that you said so far. You said less is more, which is something that I always agree with. Advocate for for your own skin. I like that as well. I really don't like. Sometimes you'd see on threads and stuff when people would say, "Can someone recommend a cream for this?" And the first question I get my team to ask is, what's your skin type? You just don't be
Yeah.
using
What's your history? There's
yeah.
so much
Yeah,
wrong
you
stuff.
just don't be like, yeah, here's a cream. Yeah, I use this. Like, and you know, everyone's on this Korean like K beauty right now, and
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
retinols and all of those kind of stuff. And I'm just like, oh my god, the world's going
You can't keep
crazy.
up. Even me, I can't keep up. Someone says, "Have you tried it?" I used to hashtag, "Yes, I've tried coconut oil," because the amount of people would say, "Coconut oil, coconut oil."
Do you
So
know?
I used
And
to
this is
hashtag
what
it.
this is what I like about what you said. I actually react to coconut oil because of the
So do I. My
scent
skin
of the
hates
coke.
it.
Yes,
My skin hates it. It's like
it
hissing.
doesn't do well. So whenever I'm just like, I'm not sure about that because I've got sensitive skin. So the smell of it triggers my skin reaction.
My poor skin is like a lost soul. You know, they say 1 in 1,000,000. I say, well, I'm that one. That's me. So I'm that one.
I'm here. Here. I'm that case study. And then something else that you said is we are more than our skin, which is something that I would
Yeah.
really love to end on. Is that we are definitely more than our skin. We know that it's difficult for people to see us, and we're not necessarily looking the way that we want to. But you know, we're still beautiful people inside. Like let that shine, and people would really overlook everything else. And something that I always say to people is that eczema, cirrhosis, acne, all of those skin concerns, it doesn't discriminate. Today, you've never had eczema before. Then in your big grown age, eczema will present itself. So I hope
Yeah.
people actually take the learnings that they can from this and not just see it as, well, this is not my problem, I'm not really bothered. But I also want to really petition to the Black community as well, because something that a lot of people don't seem to realize, and especially it being a Black History Month in the UK, is that eczema is more prevalent in people of color. It presents itself differently, as you said, and we have to be much more intentional about what type of products we actually use on our skin, because most of the products on the shelf are actually not, it doesn't complement our skin type too well. Something that I always heard when I was growing up was that, you know, these cold climates are actually not designed for Black people. It's just not.
Lack of vitamin D. Lack of vitamin D. Yeah. Supplementing
we
vitamin D.
we need the sun. We need it to like to speak and moisturize our and go. And it's not a joke. It's actually something we do need. It's a real thing, right? Our melanin needs vitamin D, so the cold doesn't help. And then the diet as well. You know, the foods that we eat. You know, I think we keep assimilating so much to what the rest of the world is doing that we forget that even though, yes, we're all humans, we have a different makeup, genetic
We do.
makeups.
Our bodies do different things. Yeah.
Exactly. So we have to appreciate that. Like a lot of the time, dairy is not good. Like I know a lot of my white counterparts can take dairy. I know so
Yeah.
many Black people that are lactose intolerant. It's just unbelievable. And I was going to mention earlier, so you said that your triggers were stress, and my triggers for my eczema is stress, peanut allergies. I'm allergic to all types of nuts.
That's
Even,
very common as well.
yeah, the smell of it even triggers me. Hay fever is
Oh yeah.
also a problem. Dust, I'm
That's my.
allergic to as well. So I would dread when it would get to summertime. I just would dread it. And I literally had to tell myself as a young person, take each day as it comes, because it doesn't matter how much Puritan I'd pop, that thing wasn't making me feel any better. I'd be miserable. And the only way you could deal with it is like a nice warm bath before you go to bed. But even still, once that had settled, you still get that itch and discomfort again. So I do like what you said. We are more than our skin. So Dereece, at this point, I'd like to say thank you so much for your time. It's been so appreciated. Say to your mum again, if your mum is watching this, mummy, it's not your fault.
Love you,
And to your
Mum. She's also back
sister,
in my care.
and to your sister, thank you for being beautiful for us.
Ah,
And to your
don't thank us so
partner
much.
that accepted you for who you are, thank you for seeing the bigger picture. So, Dereece, thank you so much. And do you have any final comments before I close out?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me. Thank you for giving me the platform to speak about this, and also creating a natural skincare thing that helps with us as well. But yeah, thank you very much, and thanks for your
Awesome.
time.
Thank you so much, Dereece. Take care.